How is it going, everyone? It's Andy Francis back with you yet again. Today's this video is gonna be a little more positive. Yesterday we focused on the negative, the red flags, but maybe we should look forward like one of those crystal rubbers and think about put the positive energy in the world. Tell you guys about the people who are gonna outperform their ADP and potential. That's what I'm here for. We're gonna be rubbing crystals and giving you guys some good value for players who people aren't excited, nor are they not excited. They're in stealth mode, just lingering. And I think there's some value to be had in some of those guys. And this weekend, a lot of drafts going on. People are adding a lot of teams, a lot of leagues, a lot of websites. And, if you've already joined Underdog and you got in their $1 million tournament, you're looking for more best ball, then go to Drafters Fantasy. They're a new partner of ours. And what they're offering is if you go to Drafters Fantasy and you make a deposit of at least $20, they're going to give you a free $20 entry into their $1 million tournament. And on top of that, if you enter that tournament a second time, we're going to give you the best ball draft kit for free. So that's a pretty good value. All you got to do is you can click the link down below in the description here, or you can go over there and use the promo code Stochastic on Drafters Fantasy. Speaking of Drafters Fantasy, I have some fantasy players that I think you should draft. The first, you're looking at him over my left shoulder. His name is Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell is somebody that I put out a video, and he's my dark horse to win the rushing champ for this season. When I look at someone like him, in a Kyle Shanahan offense that's not split up into a couple different parties, like, a couple years ago when there was Mostert, Coleman, Breida all splitting work, then back in Atlanta there was Coleman and Freeman. There's none of that, as you saw last year. When Eli Mitchell is healthy, he's getting all the work, as you saw last year when he was getting 25 carries, 26 carries, 25 carries. When he's healthy, Shanahan fully commits to him. When you add in Trey Lance, typically a running quarterback helps a running back's game further, opens up even more holes, and that re-signing of Garoppolo signals to us that maybe the passing game isn't going to be as far along as they were hoping, which just means more running, more Mitchell. I think he's an unbelievable value, and if you want a prediction, I'll bet one of you this. I'll bet somebody on this. He's going to outscore Javonte Williams. There is no Melvin Gordon here, and it's an all-running offense with Kyle Shanahan at the helm. He is outscoring Javonte Williams, and he's absolutely going under him. So he is my favorite value going into this weekend. He will absolutely outperform his ADP. Next up, I'm going to go to a tight end. Remember yesterday I was telling you about, I am not feeling Davante Adams. Derek Carr doesn't like throwing to the outsides. He always loves going over the middle, which is why Renfro's going to have a good year and Waller's going to have a great year. Darren Waller is an absolute value right now. I think where people are staying away from Waller because they think, Davante Adams is there. I look at it the absolute opposite way. This is going to be the first time in years Darren Waller is not dealing with bracket coverage because everyone knew Carr used to try to force feed it to him. Davante Adams is going to be sucking up all that attention. And Mr. Checkdowns himself, who loves going over the middle, Derek Carr, watch Darren Waller on a per-game basis outscore Mark Andrews. Oh my God, this guy's just saying anything. No, I truly believe it. I would bet Darren Waller to outscore Mark Andrews. The same way about 2 years ago and last year going into the season, people were saying it's really like a two-person tier. Kelsey, Waller, they can hit this massive ceiling, and then maybe Kittle potentially, but Waller's still that guy. He's still young enough. He's a freak. He has the highest ceiling of all these guys in my potential. He has a higher ceiling than Pitts. He has a higher ceiling than Kittle, higher than Mark Andrews. He does. We know this. But people are just worried because of Davante Adams. I am all about Waller. If he falls to you a little bit, because I've been seeing people pass on him, he will absolutely outperform his ADP, and my prediction is that on a per-game basis, he outscores Mark Andrews. How do you like that? So I gave you a running back, gave you a receiver, or I'm sorry, running back, tight end. Now I'm going to give you a receiver. You guys remember when Allen Robinson was just the king of like junk time yards, junk time touchdowns, ended up having monster years with like Blake Bortles down there because they were that awful? Well, there's kind of somebody like that this year, and his name is DK Metcalf. They're going to be an absolutely awful team in Seattle, and I see no reason why DK Metcalf, who 1 year ago people were saying is like a top 3 receiver, where was he going? End of the first round, beginning of the second round? We're only 1 year after that, and he's in his athletic prime. Absolutely, people were calling him an absolute super freak. So why wouldn't he be able to have a solid junkyard season? That's a fake term. Every video I make up a fake term. A junkyard season is when you pile up yards in junk time. A junkyard season, and that's what I see coming for DK Metcalf this year. Now I'm going to end this with 2 separate running backs. The first, I'm going to give you a little quiz. What if I told you that I have a guy who has the second highest yards per carry in the whole NFL? It's Nick Chubb and then this guy for his whole career. And this guy with the second highest yards per carry is playing behind the number 1 offensive line. What round are you going to tell me he's going to go? He's got to be going high, right? Nope, absolutely not. Miles Sanders for the Philadelphia Eagles is absolutely a great value this year. You're worried because there's going to be this, there's going to be the timeshare. Doug Peterson's not there. And that staff learned who their best running back was last year. And if you look at the end of the year, they were giving Sanders 20 carries, 22 carries. And the touchdown thing, we all know this. That's a fluky. Touchdowns are fluky year to year. There's no chance he doesn't score a touchdown yet again. He's obviously the better talent than the other running backs on that roster, as is evidenced by his 4.8 yards per carry, 5.1, and then 5.4, something along those lines in his 3-year career. He's obviously an unbelievably efficient runner playing behind the number 1 offensive line. That's really all you should need to know. If he was going higher, maybe you could say, Hurts at the goal, but he's not going high. He's going later than many. So he's somebody you should definitely be trying to snag in your drafts. And lastly, I'm going to end with someone, I see him starting to go way down there. We were talking about the Javonte Melvin Gordon split and dynamic. Well, there's another split and dynamic, but I kind of want the opposite side of it. I'm looking at James Robinson as a value. Maybe not weeks 1, 2, 3, but I'm telling you, you can get him absolutely late in your drafts. Look at ETN. Just watch him run. Is he dynamic? Absolutely. So is Dexter McCluster. He's got a small frame. There's not a chance in hell, like Vince McMahon, no chance in hell are they going to give him 20 carries up the middle. He didn't even make it through 1 preseason. So it's not like he's just the poster child for health. Like, he's already coming off a year-long injury, so I don't foresee them giving him this slew of work. James Robinson, I'm not saying he's going to be the James Robinson of 2 years ago, but what I'm saying is where you're getting him in the draft, he's going to be a great bye-week fill-in by the time he gets healthy, week 6, week 7. They're going to use him up the middle between the tackles. They're going to use him on the goal line. They're not going to use the little guy on the goal line. Last year they were talking about him being like a full-time receiver. So, and they're getting rid of Chenault, which probably tells you they're going to use him in that kind of capacity as well. I think he's a great value there. Those are 5 guys. I believe they'll all help you going into this fantasy season. They'll all outperform their ADP. I have high confidence in all 5 of those guys. Hopefully I convinced you about 1 or 2 of them, maybe 5, but I'll even take 1 or 2. Thank you guys for coming back. Hope this was of some assistance. Do me a favor and throw a like on the video if you want. Feel free to comment who you think is being underdrafted. Sometimes I'll respond, sometimes I won't. As you can tell, I'm a kind of fast-talking New Yorker. The YouTube comment section, sometimes that's where like civilization goes to die. So sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what are they saying down there? Do I even want to know? So, I'll go back and forth and check and see who you guys have out there. But let me know who you think is being undervalued. And I'll be back with you soon to talk more fantasy. Take it easy, and I'll talk to you soon.